Welcome to A Fisherman's Tale. Now, I get asked, questions when people are sort of buying VR, what game should I get? Now, usually you point them towards things such as Beat Saber, Moss, Lone Echo. There's definitely some key ones I would point people towards. But when people ask me the other question of, well, what's your favorite VR game? Well, it's A Fisherman's Tale. No other game, in my mind, really shows what VR is about. Yes, it's short. Doesn't matter. You're still going to get a good couple of hours out of this game. Secondly, it's a puzzle game, and I love these kind of things. To me, A Fisherman's Tale is a lot like games like Portal or Quantum Conundrum, things that have like a thing that they do. With Portal, it's shooting portals around to, complete puzzles that way. In Quantum Conundrum, you're flicking between realms in order to solve puzzles. And in this one, well, it's VR, so you're messing with size. There's no better way of explaining it than to actually just show it. So let's just kick off a new one. And we'll show you how this goes through. So it is narrative. So I will go quiet so that you can hear the narrator for this part.
Now, stop me if you have heard this one before. Once upon a while ago, there was a fisherman's puppet, carefully made by hand. The puppet lived a simple life inside a model lighthouse, with everything in its place. And every day began the same way when he brushed his wooden teeth. Well, if you don't think wooden teeth need brushing, you've never had a cavity and a splinter at the same time. Next, he put a log inside his little stove to warm things up. Nice and warm, safe from the storm. Next, he would take his duster and carefully dust his lucky seashell over there on the shelf. There,
Dust.
the shell reminded him of the sea when it was calm. Next, the fisherman would open wide his window to check the weather. A quiet sea tonight. Finally, and most important, every day he would work on his latest model. There, in the center of the room, a perfect model of his own little lighthouse, exact in every detail. It was nearly finished too. Only 2 pieces needed to be added to the replica. The little model cabinet, and yes! Good. Now, the final touch. A tiny puppet of himself to put inside.
A good resemblance. Right, let's pop me head on. There we are.
Lucky this model snapped together. Tired
There I
out
am.
from his routine, the fisherman will rest his aching wooden bones in his own rocking chair and go to sleep. And dream of models. Safe
brushing his teeth.
inside, where the smell of paint and glue was always fresh, where the world was simple and snapped together, the puppet would follow his routine. Brush his wooden teeth, dust his lucky shell, and work on his model. Worlds within worlds, walls within walls, closing out the storm so it could never reach inside.
in again this year. We all know there's a big catch waiting out there somewhere, but hold your hauling lines. Reports are saying a huge storm is blowing in. It might be nothing, but better safe than salvage, I always say. Coming up next, another hour of thrilling nautical news after these messages.
Every morning, the Fisherman's Puppet walked inside his model lighthouse with everything in its place. And he began his day the same way. Except this morning, something felt different. Mon Dieu, the window had been boarded up. The fisherman didn't remember doing that. Even when the storm came, he was safe in here. But no two silly planks of wood were going to get between him and his routine. He couldn't get them off by hand. This would do. What was it Papa used to say? Use the right tool for the right job.
Take that out. Right, come on, let's get these out.
Nearly there. What was this feeling? The fisherman hadn't felt like this for a long time. At last, the smell of the ocean. But outside, not the sea. He couldn't believe his wooden eyes.
Whose
Outside
nice
the
ass
room
is
was
that?
Another room, a replica room. And standing in it, a huge but very familiar figure of a fisherman. And he knew that if that huge figure were to turn, its face would be very familiar. Sacre bleu! If this was what lay outside, then what was inside his own little model lighthouse? It was all there inside the model, exact in every detail. But the tiny version of himself, it was moving. He was inside the model, he was outside the model, and just who was pulling all the strings?
Dear listeners, a general alert to all lighthouses. In spite of all of our thrilling up-to-the-minute warnings, a lone boat has gone out into the storm. Lighthouse keepers, make sure your lights are shining bright. I repeat, a lone boat has gone out into the storm.
The lighthouse. The world might be folding in on itself, but only one thing mattered now. He had to turn on the lighthouse lamp high above. The life of a fellow sailor was at stake. A huge anchor blocked the only door. Whoever did it must really want to keep the storm out, or keep something in.
So there we go. Nice little bit of dialogue there. So let's talk about what's different here. So, as I said, this plays with scale in, quite frankly, an amazing way. So everything is related to this tower. And if you need to change the size of something, or you need to move something,
Time to raise this
for
anchor.
example, the anchor, which is right there, we lean in, pick it up,
Of course, as below,
and we bring it
so
out.
above. When he lifted the tiny anchor, the large one was lifted by his giant self.
But now if I bring it back in, it increases in size. But taking it back out, it's now small. But as you can see, it's right there. So in theory, I can grab it again. So I put it down there. Oh, can I grab it? Oh, might not be able to, might be too small. But basically, you can change the size.
Now, time to get out of this little room.
Ooh, can't get there. Yeah, you can basically change the size of lots of different things. So if I go to grab, nothing there. If I grab this, for example, spin around. What I can do
The path was clear.
is I can
Time to
drop
light the lighthouse.
this down. like so. And now it's really big. And I've got a really big duster. I mean, that's not particularly useful, but you get the idea. And then likewise, you can take it. You can take it. Come on. You can take it back out, and then it'll be smaller. Right. Let's grab it back out. Ooh, not that one. There we go. Right, let's take that back out. We don't need that too big.
Out of this little room.
Yes. Right. So let's get out of this little room, as he says. Not that we're going to be able to, but that is a secret.
Zut! The door was locked. He must have put the key somewhere last time he left this room. Now, when was that? And then, my friends, the strangest thing happened. Inside this room, where he knew every cranny and nook, an unfamiliar voice said,
Hey, you. Yes, you, the scruffy-looking puppet. Yeah, you with the strings. Over here, on the shelf. Are you cracked in the cockle? Why did you move the anchor? Why? Oh, why did you take the roof off?
The fisherman. He felt, well, his lucky shell had just started talking to him, and very rudely too, so he did not feel so great.
The French, I mean, the French are always very rude.
Just had nothing to say. I'm an hermit crab, Sonny, and you might not appreciate a nice quiet hiding spot, but I do. Now, shh.
And what are we hiding from?
I'm hiding from the storm. Why do you think I stole the key?
The key? The key? Where is it?
Oh, fiddler crab sticks.
The fisherman took a deep breath.
There's some very good voice acting in this. The interesting part here is actually there's kind of two parts to this story. So you've got this core story that there's a storm outside, but then there's lots of talk about things that are hiding from the storm. And as you go through, there's clearly this situation where the storm is a metaphor for a mental health issue, the loss of someone, other concerns, and a lot of that's explored as you move through the different puzzles.
Brave.
Well, of course, courageous Captain Crab, said the fisherman. Your hat and a life preserver. Now, where would an everyday wooden puppet find a tiny life preserver and a hat fit for a crab?
Now, unfortunately, this hat is too big. So, obviously, we need to make this hat smaller. Okay. Yeah, we like that. Right, let's shrink this hat down first.
Oh, did you find something? Show me. Show me.
Oh, no, that was the wrong way. Hang on. Reach in.
Good. Now,
Here it is.
carefully. I have very delicate antennules. How does it look?
Here we go.
Does it look dashing?
Now
Oh,
the
it
life
does.
preserver.
Doesn't it?
There.
Now, fetch your captain his life preserver. Allez, allez. Allez.
Right, so let's grab life preserver, and we've got to do the same thing. So let's come here. We've got to make it smaller. So let's come in, grab it. There we
Now,
are.
Put it around my shell.
And then, yep, we'll head back.
So, you found everything? Well, if a little wooden puppet like you can do this, then I will be brave. Now, just let me get out of this damn shell.
Bonjour.
Breezy. I feel so much lighter, and the world feels so much bigger. I don't think I can go back into my shell after this. All right, let's do this. I'll help you open the door, so you can save your fellow silly old sailor. And I, as captain, shall courageously remain here, on guard. Now, let's see. Where did I leave the key?
Well, I can see it
was
right
holding
there.
The key when I was repairing my shell. Then I had a sudden itch, and then, blast it. I don't remember.
The crab had lived his whole life inside this little shell.
Obviously, I'm just moving past this because I know a lot of what's already happening here, having completed this a couple of times. The good thing is here is obviously that key is way too small, so I need to make the key bigger. Well, how do I do that? Well, I just pop it in here. There it is.
I've lost the key, mon ami. forget your poor sailor. You'll never
And
be
then we
able- That
grab it
will
there.
do. All right.
And that's actually in my way, so let's take that out.
Do, I think.
Oh, there we go, that'll do. And then, yeah, we head back round. Don't need to go any bigger than that? Nope. Again, that's the other thing, is that things scale through this as well.
We are ready to go, shipmate. Time to farewell, shipmate. I won't forget what you did for me. Your captain salutes you.
He wouldn't need to find his way up the tower in the darkness, and already he could hear the storm rising outside.
And there we go, it's more mention of these storms. So we're moving on to the next chapter now, but I think actually I'm going to leave it there. The great thing about puzzle games is learning more about them. Getting to solve the puzzles yourself, and unwrapping the story. This is a bit more of what's happening with the story, and as you can see, we're out in the sea, and it's very much implied that either you or someone you care about is on that boat, and that whatever happens to them is either not good and you're helping to deal with it, or something else. And that for me is one of the absolutely core things that makes this game like my absolute favorite VR game ever. It's because of just all of that stories that it does. Anyway, I think that's good enough for now. So thanks very much for joining in. I hope you enjoyed that. Go check it out. I'm going to be checking out a few more VR games, and hopefully, as you can see, Office is pretty much set up now. So I'm hoping to be able to start streaming soon. So don't forget to subscribe, and hopefully that'll be happening. I'm going to stream here on YouTube because that seems to be the place to do it. So yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much, and goodbye.